if we're gonna do Vegas and Montreal, can I ask you guys? Can I tell you guys that I'm confused still about what Montreal is?
Sure, I am too.
Like, do you guys feel some confusion?
They're sorry, go ahead.
I don't know what to expect next year out of them still, because they're an amazing team since being down 3-1. And they're, I think, the second best team. I think Tampa right now is still the front runner for the Cup. But Montreal's in the Cup final, and they're not. So who knows? They're the first team to qualify Stanley Cup playoffs. They played unbelievable. Carey Price is great, but they finished 18th in the standings. And you look at their roster next year, and there's probably half a dozen rosters you pick ahead of Montreal's. So I'm still confused at this team that's in the Stanley Cup final. I don't know what they are. And if you guys have any insight, that would be great.
So they're a well-oiled Kakuna, a well-oiled Metapod, and they press harden, and they get harder to attack. They're a Kakuna, they're a Metapod. We've talked about this before on the podcast. It's a Pokemon that cannot attack; it can only defend. But its defense is extremely defensive. It's really effective. Their problem was they couldn't bloody score. And then in comes this kid, this 5'7", 165-pound child
from school. He literally left school.
He literally, like, with his backpack over his shoulder. See you guys. I'm gonna go play in the show.
He's Ash Ketchum leaving the town.
And he goes to Laval, and it's very obvious right away. Oh, no, he doesn't belong here at all. Goes to the NHL. His first 2 goals are overtime winners. And he had 1 fewer goal in that series against Vegas than all of Vegas's forwards combined. And I think
they tied, didn't they? Wasn't it 4-4?
And then no, because they had 1 in that game. So I think Caufield had 4 and Vegas had 5. I might be wrong. Because who scored in that? Oh, Riley Smith.
Right. Okay. Yes.
So there's that. I think he's a huge missing piece here. Brendan Gallagher has 2 goals. Mm-hmm. Philip Deneau has 1 goal. No, he has 0 goals. Shea Weber has 1 goal, and it came last night. Those 3 players are an enormous chunk of the Montreal Canadiens. Philip Deneau's assist on the overtime winner was his first point of the series that was 6 games long. His 3rd point of the playoffs. He is averaging a point per round. And what this kid does is he allows them to be what they are to a wild degree. Now, Brendan Gallagher is not a defensive specialist. He scores goals. He can't right now. His hand's busted. Mm-hmm. So they say, well, how's your feet? And he goes, they're pretty good. Okay. Well, what if we put you out there with Deneau and Lehkonen, who's also got some pretty good feet, and you got that line got their first point in the 6th game, and they won. They're going to the Stanley Cup final. I saw a tweet today. I almost threw up. The Montreal Canadiens are going to the Stanley Cup final, and not a player on that friggin' team has more goals than William Nylander.
This season? Like in the regular season?
Yeah. Like, I should be getting more criticism for remaining a Leaf fan. I really should. No, because it's illogical. It's illogical and dumb.
It's not about the Leafs.
Well, it is, though. Well, because
focus on the Canadiens for like 4 minutes.
Fine. I just feel like I didn't get to put a bow on my point that I'm grumpy about.
Yeah, I could tell. Praise the Canadiens here for 4 minutes.
So Cole Caufield allows Montreal to be them. Mm. He does, because they could have done this. But you're going to get cracked. You're eventually going to get cracked. I don't care how good you are at defense. If you can't score a goal, you can be the best team in NHL history, and the game will go to octuple overtime. But if you can't score, you lose the game. That's how this works. Now they can score. Their depth, Corey Perry, is good for a scoring chance almost per period, or at least something that looks roughly dangerous. Joel Armia, same deal. Eric Stahl's a bit hit and miss, but he can contribute. Josh Anderson's at least a factor. Like, it's just unbelievable. You look, the Habs outside of Caufield, I don't know if they have a single player who you'd look at and you go, they're having a great playoff offensively. But Caufield's presence allows them to specialize like crazy. And behind that specialized style, they have arguably the greatest goaltender of the last decade and a half. It's a hell of a formula, and it's gotten them to the Stanley Cup final.
Yep. Now, on the other side of that, you got Vegas. Mark Stone, especially, even in the post-game press conference, talking about how he's the captain of this team. He's got to take responsibility.
Yep.
0, 0, 0, 0, 0 everywhere. He was not Mark Stone, decidedly. And obviously you lose Chandler Stevenson, but you expect that the Knights should be able to recover from Chandler Stevenson, or at least be able to compete. What do you say about Mark Stone's performance and the effect or lack thereof of effect on Vegas?
Last year, they're up 3-1 in Vancouver. They score 1 goal in Game 5, 0 goals in Game 6, 3 goals in Game 7. They won that. So there's 4 goals in 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
They play Dallas. Shut out in the first game. Mm-hmm. That's bad. 3 goals in the second game. They won. 2 goals in the third game. They lost. 1 goal in the fourth game. They lost. 2 goals in the fifth game. They lost. And then in this one, I don't have the numbers up. They couldn't bloody score, and all I need to tell you is their forwards had 5 goals in 6 games. Listen, Philip Deneau is unbelievable. He doesn't play 60 minutes a night. Where are you? And this is why you go to Vegas. This is why you sign in a market like Vegas. No disrespect to the fans of the Vegas Golden Knights. But buddy, you would be in a food processor right now. Your name would be in a food processor if you did this in a Canadian market. I'm not even going to say Toronto. Any Canadian market. First game was good. 4-1. Great. Second game, score twice, lose. Third game, score twice, lose. Fourth game, score twice, win. Fifth game, score once, lose. Elimination game, score twice, lose. They can't score when it matters the most, which is not something I thought I would ever say about the Vegas Golden Knights. It's a little bit. I don't even want to say it's a little bit like the Leafs, but when the puck is not on a defender's stick, that team's trash. Totally ordinary.
They're a little flawed in the way that they've been built by Kelly McCrimmon, because they've thrown so much money at the defense and the wingers that they're just left with a huge gaping hole down the middle. If you're running with Nosek and Stevenson and who else is in the middle? Nicholas Waugh and then William Karlsson, like if those are your top 4 centers, like I don't have confidence that you're going to be able to score consistently, because the wingers aren't really driving the play, especially in this series when you see them struggle against a team that plays such great defense like Montreal, and you see in the power play versus everybody with Montreal, but they're able to shut down forward groups. And when you don't have a center that can score on your team, how do you expect to score goals?
One of you pulls out Vegas's regular season stats, I'm tapping the sign. Anyone listening to this right now, I'm tapping the sign if you pull out the regular season bullshit.
Okay.
Sorry, Adam.
I'm just pulling up their cap friendly.
Oh, no. Okay. Not you two.
Okay.
You two.
I think going out and getting a center is probably the first number one thing on McCrimmon's list this offseason.
Which brings me to Jack Eichel for a second, because
it doesn't have to be Eichel. It could be anybody.
It does. It's Vegas, baby. But I think here's the thing with Vegas is they had a team that surprised a lot of people a few years ago. And, they're a top 2 team in the NHL, top 4 in the playoffs, pretty good, right? Hard to criticize. But when it does come down to the Final Four, you do have flaws that are exposed. And I wondered if, can you be a victim of making too many moves? Like I look at and this is pre-cap era, so you have to kind of bear with me on this. the Toronto Maple Leafs used to trade too much.
Yes.
They had 2 great runs in 93 and 94, and they had guys like Kirk Muller, Dave Anderchuk, Glenn Anderson, Mike Gartner, guys who were money in the bank for 30 goals, and, obviously Doug Gilmour, and they were able to get Matt Sundin as well, which is pretty spectacular. But they kept trading, and then they had to go out and do something like, and no offense to Wendell Clark, but trade future Islanders captain Kenny Johnson, top tier defenseman Kenny Johnson, to the Islanders for Wendell Clark.
And the pick that drafted Luongo.
They had to do things that, if you look at their trade record, it looks really good about 91, 92 when Cliff Fletcher jumps in. But you look at 94, 95, 96, and you start to go, ooh. And I wonder, sometimes it's very Vegas. It's like, hit it again. Sir, that's 21. Hit it again. You know what I mean? It's just it seems like they're overbuilt, if that makes any sense.
Did you pull up the cap friendly?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to do something that'll prove your point. The cap friendly has a little tool that shows how a player was acquired. So in 4 years, how many forwards and defensemen are left that were drafted in the expansion draft for Vegas?
5.
5 guys. So in 4 years, only 5 guys are left in your roster, and out of those 5, how many are regular?
One of them is William Carrier. With no offense to William Carrier, but
right.
It's
so we're down to 4.
Carlson, Marchessault, McNabb, Fleury, and
that's it.
And then Carrier. And it's not. Listen, I think
it's a lot of tinkering.
It is a lot of tinkering, and you do get significant roster turnover in any NHL market. Maybe you could look at the Leafs and go, "Hey, the last 4 years they've made a lot of moves too," and you'd be right. You'd be right. I think though. I mean, what was the last team, Steve, if you can remember this, because you are unbelievable with your memory on this.
I'll try.
To win without a dominant number 1 center?
Montreal Canadiens.
They had dominant number 1 center back then. They had, former Leaf.
Year.
Oh, this year. Yeah. I'm talking about the Cup. 93. They had Vinny Damphus, and they had some other, former Leaf Vinny Damphus, who they traded for Grant Fuhrer. Could have kept him and had Doug Gilmour and Vinny Damphus up the center.
Boy, you got to go back quite some time. No, I'm all the way back at Datsuk.
Are we
back
Carolina?
At Getzlaf. I bet they got Brindamore was along the lines of Ryan O'Reilly, who ended up winning the Conn Smythe. Conn Smythe went to Cam Ward that year. Conn Smythe winner Cam Ward. But yes, and they did have a young. People forget how good young Eric Stahl was. Holy
he was amazing.
Shit,
he was
really good. All right, so we got to go back, and we got Brad Richards. He won the Conn Smythe. Who won it in 2003? We got that was the Devils.
They had
a very long time.
It was like Bobby Holik Devils.